U.S. Secretary Commerce Howard Lutnick, who was over there flexing on behalf of the United States. Let's see if we could play it for the audience to check it out.
We are in Davos at the World Economic Forum. And the Trump administration and myself, we are here to make a very clear point. Globalization has failed the West and the United States of America. It's a failed policy. It is what the WEF has stood for, which is export, offshore, far shore, find the cheapest labor in the world, and the world is a better place for it. The fact is, it has left America behind. It has left the American workers behind. And what we are here to say is that America First is a different model, one that we encourage other countries to consider, which is that our workers come first. We can have policies that impact our workers. Sovereignty is your borders. You're entitled to have borders. You shouldn't offshore your medicine. You shouldn't offshore your semiconductors. You shouldn't offshore your entire industrial base and have it be hollowed out beneath you. You should not be dependent for that which is fundamental to your sovereignty on any other nation. And if you're going to be dependent on someone, it darn well better be your best allies. Okay? And so that is a different way of thinking. It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole in the middle, but in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar, you should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries.
So much was said in that clip. My summation is that seeing that in an environment where people are seemingly, at least when we're seeing footage of those environments and what people are saying and how they are speaking to each other, there's this elite tonality, this elite vibe, this I am higher and I know best. And yet we see a lot of hypocrisy like we saw during the days of the COVID lockdowns, which became an awakening point for a lot of humanity when these big mouth elites were telling us what to do to social distance. They were even making health recommendations that were very racist. For example, I'm not going to forget when they were recommending the COVID jab, they wanted to push it on the people of color's community first because, you know, we're more vulnerable and we need it. And then you do a little bit more digging and you realize that some of these people in privileged places had the option to just not even take the jab. And how can we forget the queen of New York City politics, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and her, you know, she's a champion of climate justice, which would be in line to what we said we're leaving. We want to leave here in the United States. It doesn't work for us. She's this tax the rich, you know, goes to this big gala with this tax the rich. And I'm seeing all these activists like she gave it to the man. And I'm like, no, she gave the middle finger up to everyday humans. She's up there mixing it up, living life like the elite. And while I'm at it talking about AOC, I will never forget that even though she was here, you know, siding with harsher lockdowns with her Democratic buddies, where did she go when she wanted a little reprieve when it was her vacation? Didn't she go to Florida to a more relaxed, maskless state? Weren't there pictures of her with her beloved enjoying fresh air? These people are hypocrites. It is time that the world wakes up. Just because they have more education, more money, more access, and are talking to you about studies, are they living their what they're saying? Are they? How are they emulating what they're recommending to just the common man. Most of the times, that's where you see the hypocrisy. It just doesn't hold up. So to me, what has happening with Gavin Newsom and stirring the pot here, I feel like we're gonna see different layers of this in New York and in other cities, and we are seeing it. Name the cause, and they're stirring the pot in a city near you.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
absolutely. Go ahead, Mark.
yeah, I was gonna say Cozy was right about that. How Gavin Newsom kind of starts the liberal trend of the governors. You'll probably see Hochul do the same thing, and unfortunately, that's probably what's going to end up happening. But they still want to throw tax. If we can't throw federal tax dollars out there, let's use state funds to throw it away. But April comments, it blows my mind how people still take these toxic jabs or use fluoride. And it's basically because they don't see or pay attention to people like us, or, they pay attention to the mainstream media, CNN, Dr. Fauci, and, Cuomo when he was out there preaching, and all the mainstream characters on the news that are so called leaders that are just basically buying stock in big pharma before forcing mandates and making money off of it. Like, I mean, I still can't believe we don't have a ton of these politicians in prison for insider trading, because it's not legal what they're doing, what Pelosi and all these people are doing. Especially, it's obvious you're forcing a mandate, and you invested in Moderna and Pfizer prior to forcing that mandate and made a ton of money. I mean, it's clear as day. But Cozy, you were going to say something?
Yeah, there's a lot to say. I actually really love that clip, Rose Angel, that you posted about globalization has failed the West. It absolutely has. We were outsourcing to everybody. And yeah, he made great points, right? Why should Europe, go net zero, basically, right? Like carbon emissions and all this stuff. It was basically to shift the power to other countries, right? China and others, where China could still pollute, but they want others to not pollute, right? It's so crazy. And I hope every country starts rebelling. I hope every country starts thinking about their sovereignty. And because that's where it's at. We must stay individual. Every country needs to be sovereign. We can't become a globalist society. It never works because it's authoritative. It's like a king telling us orders. Just that's why I'm so against the World Health Organization. It's like one group of people, right? One organization telling people what to do, the whole world. And that was heavily funded by Bill Gates, the devil himself. I could go on and on, and I also like that you mentioned AOC. Recently, I posted something about a week ago where she spent $50,000, okay, of campaign finances to pretty much go to Puerto Rico, and we saw her at a Bad Bunny concert. I think it was December, or I don't remember when that was, but obviously it is legal to do so. Unfortunately, like you could use your campaign funds to uh, go to places and say, "Oh, this is a campaign event," right? But I think it's excessive. I think that there should be limits to that. I don't think you should be spending $50,000 of people's contributions for you to go see Bad Bunny. And of course, you'll just say, "Oh, that, I didn't use that part. I just happened to be in Puerto Rico, and there's always things that they can say, but come on, we know the